This week on the Stressless Camping RV podcast, we are eating our way across the USA.
So what we're going to share with you is some of the highlights of the regional foods, regional places.
And just kind of memorable food memories,
Yeah.
memorable memories.
See
Food
the
experiences.
USA on the dinner tray.
There you go. We're in Shipshewana.
Woo! And look what's behind us if
We
you're
got our
watching.
mini light back,
Oh yeah.
and we have never waited until 5:30 on Wednesday to record. So hopefully all goes well, and you still get this on Thursday morning like normal.
Like a good dinner, this is going to be a fresh podcast. Usually we're a few days away. Anyway, I'm Tony.
I'm Peggy
And we're two RV industry veterans who travel part-time,
in that small trailer.
looking to share big adventures and help you with great tips
Tricks
and discounts.
and food.
And food, yeah. And munchies. So this week we're going to do something very different, as we said. Peggy and I each made a list of our most memorable food places, stops throughout the past years that we've been traveling. We didn't share this
We didn't
with
share it with
yeah.
one another. So as we share with you, we're also sharing with one another, and it'll be interesting to see how many of them are on both of our lists.
Yeah, absolutely.
I suspect a lot.
Yeah, well, very possibly. We keep going back to some places.
Well,
but,
yeah.
Well, without any further ado, I'm going to let you go first.
So yesterday, the reason that this kind of came up was we stopped at Brahms. Now,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to say that that's particularly memorable or something that we have to repeat over and over. It just is kind of how this started. We were at Brahms, and I was trying to think. The only other time I remember ever going to Brahms was when I was like super pouty because I wanted ice cream and he hadn't stopped. And finally he said, okay, we'll stop for ice cream, and we got Brahms. Brahms is kind of interesting, and I don't know if this is true of all of them, but enough of them that it's on their website. It's not just a hamburger joint, it's also a little grocery store.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of trippy.
I think it started out to be like to sell their dairy products, but the grocery store had quite a bit of stuff on it in it. So
well, and Peggy and I were talking. I guess part of the reasons that this came about was also that we're like, there's so many of the same restaurants, and even if
Right.
they're barely restaurants along the road, and it's kind of cool to taste regional and local stuff.
yeah.
So that's also kind of how this came about.
Right,
So
right.
we literally, like half hour ago, we picked up our trailer, and I knew the battery would be completely charged, that all of that would be completely working. I just went inside, turned on the fridge, and I assume it's already cold. And that was half an hour ago.
Right, everything is fully charged, ready to go because of the solar
Yep.
that we have and the big old lithium battery that we have from ABC Upfitters.
Yeah, and I've said many, many times, what I like about it is it just works. So we haven't seen the trailer in a few weeks, and we just knew, it's not something we worried about. You think about the plumbing and and all the other systems in there, but not that.
Right.
And so if you're interested in a good, reliable solar and lithium system that it's just something you don't worry about, our friends at ABC Upfitters do such a wonderful job, and they can pretty much outfit any size RV with a system that works the way you want it to.
Right.
So do you just need something small? Do you need something ludicrous? They will
They'll
really,
do it.
Yeah, they'll do it. And they'll really tailor it and install it properly. So if that's the kind of quality that you're after, our friends at ABC Upfitters are the people to see. And the way to get in touch with them is 574-333-3225.
That's 574-333-3225, or check out their still new because it's not 6 months old, website, abcupfitters.com.
Yeah, so that's how our rig gets fed with power.
Yeah.
Now, without any further ado, we're going to feed you with some of our
Talk about
more memorable
our
eats.
favorite feeding joints.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, let's see.
We made lists on our phone. We didn't share them with each other.
These are in absolutely no order. Okay, it was just like we're driving down the street, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna try. So we always, we always, when we're driving through Missouri, stop at Uranus Fudge Factory.
Oh yeah.
And we often get fudge, but not always. It's just a really fun stop because of all the silly, like 12-year-old jokes about Uranus. And they do have fudge, they have ice cream, they have snacks, they have nice bathrooms.
Yeah.
But
so
what
are you saying Uranus Fudge is out of this world?
It's out of this world.
That's funny. I put them last.
They say, well, and again, these are not in order. These are just, we stopped there yesterday, so they were on the top of my mind. But what I wanted to say is, their kind of slogan is the best fudge comes from Uranus. And really, what all that leads up to say is Joanne's fudge on Mackinac Island was actually our favorite fudge.
Yeah, it really was. So
we have tried fudge in different places, but Joanne's was my favorite.
No,
I think
too.
Our favorite.
Yeah. Mine too. I didn't put that.
Oh, all right. So that did not overlap.
See? I put Uranus, of course, because I am a 12-year-old boy. But
all right. So what's your top list?
Well, I started, since we're doing regional foods, I started with your least favorite, Tommy's Hamburgers in Southern California.
Yay.
Yeah, and Tommy's is...
it's a chain, but it's a very local chain in Southern California.
SoCal. They have hamburgers that they slather with this chili that's sort of like, I don't know. I don't know what's in it.
But it gives me a stomach ache. And lately, more and more things give me stomach aches. When I could eat anything in any amount, I could never eat Tommy's. That stuff tore up my belly.
Yeah.
But whenever we're in LA area,
I gotta go to Tommy's.
Tony's got to go to Tommy's.
That's right.
And well, fortunately, the one that's close to my Aunt Kathy's house is right next door to In-N-Out. So
yeah,
we'll park in one place and we'll like split up and go have our lunch in separate places.
Since you mentioned it, that's my second.
Oh, that's your second one. It wasn't actually on my list. It's just my alternative to your favorite place.
In-N-Out is another regional chain. Mm-hmm. They make hamburgers. They're all owned by one person. The whole chain. It's not a franchise. It's now made its way to Texas and Las Vegas and Arizona, and I think even it's coming to New Mexico. And it's they claim no freezers. Although I asked them once, if you have no freezers, how do you make shakes? They have a shake machine.
Yeah.
Anyway. Figure comes out ice cream. I think one of their other claims to fame is that they have the secret menu, and they make the French fries. Like you can see them chopping the potatoes right there in the restaurant. So not my favorite French fries. The burgers are pretty good, but man, whenever they open an In-N-Out, there's a line.
Oh, for weeks. There's lines for a mile down the street. Okay, so my next on my list is the Big Texan.
Oh, I didn't put that. That's amazing.
Oh, wow. Okay, so this is somewhere else that we stop pretty much every time we go through Amarillo, which is 300 miles from home. So that's almost always, with the camper, the first stop of every trip east. We stopped, not this time, the last time we came through, we stopped for lunch and then kept going because we didn't have the trailer and we could go more miles. This is the first time we've ever been in Amarillo and not eaten at the Big Texan.
Yeah, that's true. But we did stop real briefly. We stopped at their RV park, not to camp, but they've buried a bunch of old VW Beetles.
And a bunch of old limos.
So, you know, Amarillo is famous for the Cadillac Ranch, where they buried a bunch of Cadillacs schnozzed down into the dirt. Well, Big Texan's RV park buried a bunch of Volkswagens and limousines. So there's something about Amarillo.
Amarillo likes to partially bury their cars.
Yeah, and they encourage you, the Big Texan encourages you to spray paint on the cars, which people have.
Yep. They also encourage you not to spray paint on the sidewalk, which people have.
Yeah, which people. So
we can't win them all.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's
Big Texan.
What's first next on your list?
Well, Heart 8 Barbecue in Texas.
I knew you were going to put it, so I didn't write it down. I did think of it, but I knew that was going to be on your
It
list.
is such an awesome place. Heart 8 is, you walk in, and first they have a giant smoke pit where they kind of heat up the wood, and then you walk in and there's all these like big smokers, and then you go in and you just buy your food by the pound.
Yep.
Right, so you could get like 1 rib or 10 ribs or a half pound of brisket or pork or whatever, you know, the typical barbecue meats. And all I had to try it all. I liked it so much I went back, I think the next day.
No, we went back. We met Joe and his wife for lunch.
Which is how we found out about it, so thank you, Joe.
And then we went back for dinner.
That's right. Yeah.
We went back the same day. That's in McKinney, Texas.
It's so good. And everything I had there was just on point. It was super, super good. It was exactly what you expect the barbecue to be. And then they have these warmers of beans throughout the restaurant, so you just go and help yourself to beans.
Yeah, all the
and
beans
stuff.
you want to eat. Yeah, very cool. Right, so my next list item is Lambert's, the home of the throw and rolls.
Well,
We have both heard of this for years and years and years. We just happened in June, some month earlier this summer.
previously.
We happened to be going through the right part of Missouri. There are 2 locations, but we went to the one that's just north of Branson in the town of Ozark, I want to say, but I might be wrong. But anyway, it was just a restaurant, right? It's a Lambert's. It's a family-owned restaurant. They made their claim to fame by throwing the dinner rolls across the restaurant. You raise your hand, you say, I want a roll, and they throw it.
And some of these people are really, really good at
Yes.
chuck and rolls.
Yeah.
I mean, some of, you know, you see these people like way on it's a fairly large place, way on the other side of the restaurant, and, you know, you put your hand up and shoo, here comes the roll. I mean,
Yeah.
some of these people ought to be Major League Baseball pitchers.
And I think that any server gets to take a shift each week or something as a roll thrower. So it's not that they have this one guy who's really good and that's who they use. They use all their servers.
And the food it's just decent, I
Yeah.
guess, Southern cooking, for lack of a better description. It's kind of neat because they come round with sides, so there's, you know, people walking around like, do you want
Do you want
okra
some
or
collard greens,
whatever?
I don't remember what. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember the sides.
Potato dish.
Yeah, there was.
But they'll bring it and you'll get as many times as you want. So you order your like main meal with a main side dish, and then they bring all these other past, I think they call them past dishes.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's as much an experience as anything.
Yeah.
So Lambert's Throwed Rolls.
Next.
I'm gonna do a twofer.
Okay.
Donuts.
Donuts. All
Amish
right.
cracked donuts. The
Oh,
rise
yeah.
and roll here.
I can almost smell them from here.
Wow, yeah. If I get up early enough, you'll taste them from here tomorrow.
Good, because we don't really have any food.
Tractor. We are, by the way, at Shipshewana, and we choose these sites right on the road because there are always these Amish buggies that come by, and we dig them.
We just like to watch and listen to the horses clip, clap, clip,
Yep.
clap.
So
Okay,
rise
so
and
Amish
roll.
cracked donuts from
Well,
Rise and Roll.
The
And-
other were the apple cider donuts at
at Layman's Green
Layman's.
Apple Barn.
Yeah,
In
and that
Michigan.
that was a Harvest Host.
Yes.
that I think our buddy Bill found for us,
I think so.
and we stayed with him last year on our Michigan trip.
On our Michigan trip, yeah.
And it was that they were also really good. But the Amish cracked donuts, well, they're actually, what are they called?
They're
not
caramel cinnamon
They're
donuts.
a
They don't
donut.
call them Amish crack,
Right,
but
no.
everyone else calls them Amish crack.
So they are a donut, but they put this powder on top that's cinnamon and caramel, and it's like you can't eat these without getting this powder everywhere. It is,
Yeah.
you look like you're in a Amish crack donut powder explosion. So
yeah, powdered sugar just goes all over. And they put so much. If you've ever been to New Orleans and had beignets, and I don't know if that's on either of our lists, but if you go to Café du Monde, there's like more volume of powdered sugar than there is donut. And that's kind of true of these of these caramel cinnamon donuts too. They put a lot of sugar. I mean, they like
Oh, it's crazy.
run them through the sugar or whatever. But then there's so much sugar in the box that
Yeah.
I just want to get a spoon.
Yeah. So yeah, and then the apple cider donuts, they were also very, very good. And it's neat because you can go there and as a Harvest Host stay, and then in the morning they're nice and warm.
Yeah,
and they're
get nice warm
good.
donuts.
Yeah, apple cider donuts.
All right. Well, I, in a sense, have a twofer of pizza.
Pizza.
But what I'm going to say is not my two favorite pizzas. What I'm going to say is we had to try St. Louis style pizza. And it's a very, very thin, it's like a soda cracker.
Yeah.
Literally like a soda cracker. It's very thin and very crispy. And our friends, Jason and Abby, said, oh gosh, don't get it because they use Provel and Provel is gross. But frankly, Provel is provolone, mozzarella, and I think another cheese, Romano cheese or something. Anyway, it's just a 3-cheese blend. So it's not really that gross. It's just cheese. We were not in love with that pizza just because it's such a thin cracker crust.
Yeah, it's just not what we expect.
Then a day or two later, we were on our Route 66 trip. We were in Chicago and we had Chicago style pizza. Now we both of these places we bought from chains. We went to Emo's in the St. Louis area and we went to Giordano's in the Chicago area. And Chicago style pizza is like 3 inches thick. It's hugely thick.
It takes an hour to get one.
It takes an hour to get one. It's not like a 3-inch crust though. It's like a deep dish, so it is a lot of crust, but it's not like 3 inches thick of crust. It's not like food on a loaf of bread, but it's super thick pizza.
So
There's pictures on, I guess, in the show notes, but of course, if you're watching this, you're seeing all these pictures to make you hungry as we talk.
I am wanting Chicago deep dish pizza so much right now. It is so good.
Well, we're close enough to Chicago here, we might be able to find that style of pizza.
Maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Unless there's a Shipshawana style pizza that we're unaware of.
I think that's not there's more Amish food here. And
Right.
That's more, how much, it's the Paula Deen method.
Sure.
How much butter?
Yeah. Okay.
All right, the next thing is going to be from home, something we discovered at the local grocery store. Green chili bacon.
Oh, yeah. So Tony has always been of the opinion, well, we both have, that bacon tastes like bacon.
Yeah.
And that is good enough, right?
Yeah, bacon is its own reward for bad behavior.
But when we first moved to the Albuquerque area, we were in the grocery store and we saw Hatch green chili bacon. And we're like, oh, come on, you don't mess with bacon. But we're in Albuquerque now. Everything has to have Hatch green chili. So we better try it. Oh, boy, we're hooked.
Oh, yeah. I always, I'm like, why would you mess with bacon? But they did, and it's good, to the point where our friends Paul and Cindy got us the green chili spice that they use on that bacon.
Right. They've talked to this not our local grocery store, but a Kroger store, into telling them what spice is used, which green chili Hatch green chili spice they used, and they got online and found it and bought each of us like a big old jar of spice.
And so we put it on our bacon, and I put it on a lot of pork's products.
Yeah.
But it's just somehow it's just the right tiny kick to make bacon even more special.
Even more
which
better.
Is hard to imagine.
Okay, what's next on my list? White Castle. Again, is this the best burger you've ever had? No. But there's just something about going to White Castle and getting a bag of 10 burgers, so we each eat 5, because they're slider size, right? If you don't know, White Castle's burgers are like a slider. And it's fun to go to White Castle because the back of every little box that the burgers come in and the little box that the fries come in has what's it called? The crave, right?
Yeah.
They tell the story. Everybody gets to tell their story of the crave. So if you crave White Castle and you haven't told White Castle your story, you should submit it, because the crave stories are on the back of all the boxes. And so while you're eating your sliders and your French fries, you can read all these stories about people's crave.
Yeah, it's well, and they cook these little teeny the hamburger. If you've never been to White Castle, it's kind of a Midwest thing, I think, right?
I think so, yeah.
And the hamburgers are only like maybe 2 inches square,
Yeah,
like
they're
2
slider.
by 2. Yeah, and they're really thin. And they cook them in onions.
They cook them in onions,
And
and then I
so-
think they steam them, right?
Yeah, I think they steam them somehow, and they're super greasy, which makes to me anything better. Anything's better with that grease.
Right. All right.
All right.
Next on your list.
I was just looking for where this came from, doggone it.
Okay.
Well,
Oh.
I might as
That?
well. Yeah. Well, not that. I might as well go with my 2 ice creams.
Okay.
It's another twofer.
Another
One is
twofer.
Sherman's ice cream. Do you remember where
Now
that
that was in South Haven, Michigan.
Okay.
Rumor has it they are closing.
Yeah.
So I wasn't. I actually thought of it, but I didn't write it down because I don't want anybody to get excited about something that is not going to be there anymore.
Yeah.
But it's in South Haven, which is near Lake Michigan, and it was a really old place, and it
Yeah,
was
I guess
always
it's
busy.
been-
So it was really confusing when I saw the news that they're going to close.
I think
but-
somebody bought them, or it's typical,
Something, yeah.
like a family runs a place and the kids don't want it, and I think that's the story.
Yeah, it was
but-
great ice cream. We went back there 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but where we always go now is right here in Shipshe, and it's called vanilla bean ice cream. And they
That's
don't
on
just
my
sell.
list.
Oh, good. They don't just sell vanilla ice cream. They sell all different flavors, but it's typical Amish, like you would expect. A lot of cream, sugar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I bet they figure some way of putting butter in it. I don't know that, but it's so good, that vanilla bean brand ice cream, including their vanilla ice cream.
The vanilla bean ice cream is good. My favorite is the Amish peanut butter flavor.
Oh, yes.
Now, if you don't know, if you've never been to this part of the country, Amish peanut butter is, I like to tell myself it's peanut butter and honey, because that's healthier than what's true, which is it's peanut butter and sugar and corn syrup.
Yeah,
It's a very, very sweet peanut butter. Usually when we go to buffets, which we'll talk about shortly, some of the buffet places have a squeeze bottle of Amish peanut butter on the table, and that's my dessert. I take a teaspoonful of Amish peanut butter, and that's my last bite before we
Yeah.
leave.
Yeah, it's again, it's a local specialty, I guess.
Yeah.
I was going to say it's the Amish can't just leave well enough alone. Peanut butter is wonderful.
Yeah.
Especially just the peanuts kind, but then they put honey in it. I bet you that's how it started.
Probably.
And then someone got hold of
The Amish really love their sugar and their
Boy,
sweets
do they
and
ever.
their carbs.
Yeah.
They really do, but they work their buns off, so
Yeah.
that's it. They deserve it. As long as we were talking about, I'll go a little bit out of order, talking about buffets. My favorite buffet is Das Dutchman Essenhaus. It's right here, not in Shipshewana, it's in Middlebury, I think. And it is an Amish buffet. They have really great food. Something I noticed about the Amish, speaking of loving their carbs, a lot of people will go through the line, especially the Amish people, and they'll put down a bed of mashed potatoes. They'll cover it with a bed of buttered noodles, and then they'll go to the meat section, which is so strange to me. I'm not a giant potato eater anyway, but putting noodles on potatoes is just so weird to me.
Yeah, it's just I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, it is.
That's fine.
Whatever floats your buggy.
You do whatever you want.
Yep.
It's just a fact that I've noticed, but I really do like going there. They have good peanut butter. They have a good selection of desserts. The other buffet that we go to is here in Shipshewana. It's the Blue Gate restaurant buffet, and they also have good food. They don't put peanut butter on the table, I don't think, but
I think.
maybe they do.
Maybe they do.
I'm wrong. They do. Their dessert selection is almost exclusively full entire slices of pie.
Yeah.
So if you are like us, me, in a buffet, like you eat till you're stuffed and then you go put in that last bite of dessert, you have to save more room because you get an entire slice of pie. Now, do these sound like the actions of a man who has had all that he could eat?
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Okay, the next thing is something weird. And we went to the Spam Museum earlier this year.
Okay.
And, you know, Spam. I mean, it's like Spam. And then there was a lady coming around with taste, and she had maple Spam. I'm addicted. I am totally addicted to maple Spam. It is so good. And now our local Wally World has it, but I literally ordered it on Amazon. I like it so much.
He did.
So, maple Spam.
Okay. Let's see. What's next on mine? I'll go another twofer because why wouldn't I? We talked about burgers. We had two of the best burgers, I say, in Michigan. One was in Traverse City at Slabtown Burger.
Oh, I totally forgot about that place.
They're stuffed burgers. So if you get let's say you get cheddar cheese, they put the cheese actually in the middle of the burger patty. And they were, among other things, that was really, really good. They also had local sodas, which we had to taste all of. And then the other great burgers that we had, and I remember the place more than the burger really, was A Burgers. That's EH exclamation point, A Burgers in Munising. And that, we went there a couple times because we really did like it, but also it was just really beautiful. It's right on Lake Superior. So you can sit out in the back of the restaurant at the picnic tables and look out over the lake. And it was good enough to go back twice. So it was definitely good. Not, I'm going to say not a memorable food-wise, but memorable experience-wise. As opposed to, I'm just going to toss this in, pasties, which we were not impressed with. I get the concept, but we really like flavor? Seasoning in our food. And so pasties are, to us, very, very bland. Some of them have really good, like pie dough, so you can go for just the bread part. But then it's just like hamburger and potato and maybe possibly a speck of salt.
I don't think so.
So anyway, that is memorable in its blandness and the fact that we're probably not going to ever bother with pasties again.
Not Play-Doh.
Play-Doh.
Did you ever eat glue when you were a kid? Pasties. Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, well, my next thing is frog jam.
Oh, yeah. We got that when we were with Tony and Grace, so in North Missouri. And
it was not frogs, by the way.
No, it was not frogs. We'll put a link to the store. I can't remember the name of the store.
I took a picture, I made the notes, and I don't know where I put it.
But so that is fig, raspberry, apple, and grape, maybe? It's FROG. It's it's 4 fruits.
We'll put a link in the show notes, but it was really yummy. Good.
Yeah.
So, frog jam.
Okay, so I'm trying to think of a funny segue to go to jam squashed things, Roadkill Cafe in Seligman, Arizona. Yeah. Now, Roadkill Cafe is one of those places we always stop because it's good food. It's just a really fun atmosphere. Their menu is hilarious because everything, is called like squashed possum or whatever, which is a hamburger, right? It's not like whatever. The other place, though, in Seligman that we like to go is the Snowcap, Delgadillo Snowcap.
Delgadillo.
Again, okay food, but the experience of going in that place is just unforgettable.
Well, and the Delgadillo brothers really were a big driver of keeping Route 66 at the forefront.
Right.
So, and I believe Juan's still alive, Juan Delgadillo, and that's his place, Delgadillo Snowcap. And they're always working on. They just do a good job of keeping up, but it's just fun to go to. Let's see. I got frog jam. Here's one that we even have done several challenges about and several videos about. Boudin.
That's on my list as well.
Oh, it can't not be. We love boudin, and it's a rice sausage from like northern Louisiana, I believe.
Yeah, kind of northwest Louisiana, Eunice area. And
Eunice?
we have done this twice. We went by ourselves the first time. A few different people gave us ideas of where to stop to buy boudin, and we bought a few different ones. We went back to the camper, we steamed them, we like ate each bite and analyzed it and said what we like better and why. And then the second time was last April. Brian and Patrick were in town, and they're from that
they're
area.
from that area.
Patrick especially is from that area, and so we went on another boudin run, and we went to all new places and bought boudin and did another challenge.
Yeah,
So
it's like I say, it's rice, but there's meat. But a lot of times, sausage was always kind of the meat that was less presentable.
right, yeah, not as pretty.
Right. So maybe innards. I don't know, but it sure tastes good.
So it's a casing, and it's got the meat products and the rice inside the casing. Really, really good. That was also on my list.
Boudin. It can't not be for us. We love boudin.
Yeah.
And we did it. We'll share a link to the video of the boudin challenge.
Yeah.
The last one I thought was funny because Patrick kept saying it's boudin.
Yeah. Tony, we have a hard time saying it. We have a hard time pronouncing the word.
We want to say boudin because it's B-O-U-D-I-N.
D-I-N,
but it's
yeah.
boudin. Because
Boudin.
I believe it's a Cajun word, French word, whatever.
So then I have another memorable experience, also good food, but more about the experience, is Country Air Cafe and Lumi, the new American Giant in Atlanta, Illinois. I knew you'd have that on there. Country Air Restaurant, and Lumi is the wife of the owner, and she's the one that bakes the pies, and so they did the American Giant in her image.
Right.
With her, her name tag is Lumi, and the pies are fantastic.
This place is one of those well-run restaurants. Good food, fair prices, but the pies are out of this world. And another thing, I'm very picky about cheesecake because my mom made cheesecake, and in my opinion, it's the best cheesecake I've ever had. And the cheesecake at Country Air was as good. It was different, but I thought it was as good, just for different reasons.
In a different way.
And for me to say cheesecake at a restaurant is that good.
Yeah, he's never impressed by a restaurant cheesecake.
Lumi has won a bunch of awards for her pies,
sure.
and deservedly so.
Yeah. You?
Pea Soup Anderson's.
Oh gosh, yes.
It was a chain. There were two of them in Southern California, well, barely Southern California.
Yeah.
And they serve pea soup, and it's like, okay.
They serve lots of other things.
They serve a lot of, it's like a normal diner, but pea soup is what they were famous for, and it's just really good. And their motto, or their mascots are Hap Pea and Pee Wee. And if you get a bowl of pea soup, then at the bottom is Hap Pea and Pee Wee, and they're kind of all over. And I don't know, I've been going to those places since I was a wee little lad, so it might be as much nostalgia as anything, but
sure.
Pea Soup Anderson's, unfortunately, one of them closed because, you need to tear down old stuff because new stuff.
Well, renovate.
I heard they're tearing it down. I don't know. We don't know.
I heard they were renovating the building. Now, whether it's going to be a pea soup again or not, I don't know. But I think it will be a restaurant. I just don't know if it will be an Anderson's pea soup.
Yeah, but it's in, that one that's still there is in Santinella. And I always my dad always, as a joke, would call it salmonella. No, there's nothing gross about it, but it's just, I don't know.
Funny word.
That was him, so.
Yeah. We talked about the Boudin Challenge, but last year when we were in New Orleans, I kind of made it my personal quest to have a shrimp po' boy challenge.
That's right.
And I couldn't, I didn't even look at menus. I just said, I'm going to try your shrimp po' boy. I'm going to try your shrimp po' boy. And the best one, I don't know if we got any pictures of it. I couldn't find any. My absolute favorite one, I'll have to find the name of the restaurant. I know I've written it down before, and so we'll put a link. It's not in New Orleans proper. It was up closer to where we were staying, up in the area where the state parks are. All of a sudden my mind is going blank. But anyway, we'll put some links to that. But shrimp po' boy has always been kind of a favorite food of mine.
And Peggy found a good one. We'll put a link to it.
Yeah.
So since we're talking about Louisiana, New Orleans,
Okay.
we had talked about beignets, but I argue that sopapillas in New Mexico are as good, easier to eat because they're not completely covered with powdered sugar, and they're like puffy pastries,
Pastry,
and
yeah.
they include, like, you go to a New Mexican restaurant and they have the sopapillas. They're really puffy. They're like, I don't know,
They're like a
about,
pillow.
yeah, they're like almost a baseball size thing, and you put honey on, and they're so good. But you can also get sopapillas as a savory dish. So
Right, stuffed with
man,
different,
I'm also, it
different
must
food.
be dinner time because
Yeah.
I'm really getting excited about sopapillas.
Okay, so I'll just carry that one further, and a lot of times I'll get a stuffed sopapilla, and one of my favorite meat dishes especially in the Albuquerque area, is where I started eating it, is adobado. Now, if you know adobo, it's basically that. It's adobo chicken most of the time, a lot of time, but adobado is, or pork, and that is my favorite kind of Albuquerque restaurant dish to order.
Super.
That was it. That was on my
okay.
list, adobado.
I think you're next.
Oh, okay. So adobado doesn't count.
Well, I guess it does. I could
Okay,
go.
go ahead. I'll figure out which ones
When we went to, Peggy went to a ton of places in near New Orleans looking for shrimp po' boys. And when we were in Key West, we went to a bunch of places looking for key lime pie.
Yes, we did.
And
we ate key lime pie everywhere that served it, I think.
yeah, and I'm trying to think of the place we liked the best. And
that was so long ago, we weren't journaling or writing about it, so we may not have an answer. But then that, my dear friends, makes the challenge to you to find the best key lime pie and report back to us.
Yeah.
when you go to Key West.
Yeah, but it's very much a Key West thing because you had the limes, which help prevent scurvy for all the sailors.
Right.
And it's got canned milk in it.
That condensed sweetened milk.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just something, and the one we like the best, at least for me, I could taste the canned milk, and I liked it.
Yeah.
It just tasted not artificial. I don't know.
Okay. What about the cinnamon rolls that we had at I think it was called the Wild West cinnamon rolls in Pismo Beach.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about those.
That was just,
yeah.
it was just memorable to me.
Oh,
Like
man.
they had
Yeah,
different
yeah.
kinds of cinnamon rolls. They were really good. They had really good coffee. And
Yeah, that's right.
yeah, so that was on my list.
I don't think I have any more list on my list.
Oh, okay. Well, I kind of jumped around a lot, so let me
around.
see. The only other one that I really have is when we were in Pigeon Forge, when we were staying at that KOA.
Oh, yeah.
And we found that there was a brewery, a German brewery, and so we went there and we were going to have dinner and a beer. And we went in and there was a couple sitting at the table and they had like a pretzel and a meat platter and, like a charcuterie, sort of German charcuterie.
The sharks what?
And they said, oh, we just ordered one of every appetizer and shared it. And so that's what we did. And we had this giant pretzel and we had a meat and cheese board and some fruit, and that, just the memory of just having all that delicious Germanish kind of food, that was super, super fun. And then when we met Tom, we went to a different place to eat, right? We met up with Tom Taylor.
It was a brewery. Now, that's something, dear friends.
We could
that
do another
we could
whole
do a
couple
whole
of
one
hours on
these
our favorite
about
breweries.
And yeah.
Yeah.
We noticed we didn't even touch breweries.
No, we did not. The only other thing I wrote down was that, which is kind of weird for RVers to say, but we've traveled a little bit in this summer without the camper because we've left it here to go home and come back and go home and come back. And so we've stayed at a few hotels, like two a trip. And so we always try to choose hotels that have the free breakfast. And they're almost all the same.
Yeah, bland.
Bland, but it's nice when, you get up and there's breakfast right there. You don't have to get dressed and go somewhere and find it. It's decent for the most part.
Yeah.
Usually like this morning was more like a hard fried egg. Usually it's scrambled egg. A lot of times there's biscuits and gravy, sausage or bacon or something, and then, like yogurt and breads and sweet rolls and things like that. And so just, it's survivable food. It's the way, it's kind of our big meal when we're traveling without the camper. We just have our big hotel breakfast, and then we can, just have White Castle later or whatever. But I think that was the last thing that I had written down to talk about. So, what else are we going to talk about?
Well, I think that's what we have.
I think that's what we have. We will just, I think, stop here. We have the question of the week I wanted to leave up for this week, because in this coming week is when we're going to be meeting and dealing with a lot of manufacturers, and we had asked you to tell us, things that you might want us to learn while we're here at the dealer open house.
Yeah, or questions you might have for the RV manufacturers, and you can ask those or weigh in on the topic at our Fun and Friendly Stressless Campers podcast. Stressless Campers Facebook group. I don't know where I got podcast.
It used to be that.
Yeah.
You also, of course, know that, or might know that you can get a weekly newsletter once a week. Thursday morning, we send out a newsletter that says, hey, the podcast is ready to listen to or watch, and these are some other interesting RV news that we found during the week. And you can sign up for that if you haven't already on any page of the website at the bottom of the page. And then you will get these weekly newsletters. And sometimes we even have, things that we're able to give away. And you kind of have to be part of the newsletter team to learn about those things.
So, and you can find the show notes and pictures and links to a lot of these places at our home on the web at stresslesscamping.com under the podcast tile. And this is episode 273. My word.
Yeah. Also on the website, stresslesscamping.com, don't forget about our deals and discounts page for the best deals on things you need for your stressless camping adventure.
Right? And of course, we are in all the social places, but you can start at stresslesscamping.com and you can jump off to wherever you enjoy doing social things.
If you don't want to miss a future episode of the Stressless Camping podcast, you can sign up for free on any podcast catcher, and we are saving you a seat around our virtual campfire.
Absolutely. And of course, don't forget that if you leave a review, it helps others find the Stressless Camping podcast, and that helps us get even more and better discounts and deals. We got a 5-star review this week again, so thank you so much. We really appreciate that. And of course, you can also share articles on various social pages. People always ask questions, and if you can find the article at stresslesscamping.com and share it, it makes you look good and helps spread
us
the word.
A lot.
Yeah.
So thank you for listening to the cars driving by. Sorry about that.
And the horse and buggies.
It's not very often that we actually get to, the timing is right to sit in a campground and record. So we did that this week. We appreciate it. And we hope that you have a great week and
stressless camping.